Let's move on to the next speaker. Kristina Kashtanova will now shift the focus a bit towards what kind of artificial worlds we might be living in and what artificial intelligence can contribute to that. Please.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris and I'm so happy to see you all here. And before I start, I just would like to ask you one question. I know that a lot of you are scientists and I'm just curious, are either of you doing anything creative in your life? Like, yeah, raise your hands. I just want to know. Do you think of yourself as a creative person? So the thing is, I see that not everyone raised your hands, but I think we all are creative. If you cook your breakfast, if you're raising kids, if you're just sitting here and looking at me, we are all creative in a different way. I used to be a scientist like you. I did my master's in computer science and I worked as a software engineer for 10 years doing back-end. It was before there was UI, so I had to write code and I did not think of myself as creative at all. And then I realized that I was struggling with my mental health and my life changed, and now I'm an artist, and I create every day, and I have a very creative job. So, just one more question. Has any of you generated an image by writing text or a prompt? Raise your hands. Or either of you use ChatGPT? Oh, ChatGPT is really more popular. Well, that's great to hear. If either of you have never used AI and never generated an image, never used ChatGPT for whatever reason, it's okay. If you would like to know how to use it, please come to me after this session, and I brought my laptop, and we can have some fun. Okay. So as I said before, you are creative, and thanks to AI, anyone can be creative. I teach a lot of people. Most of them are cancer survivors or senior people after open heart surgery who unfortunately can't draw or paint anymore, but all of them can use AI. Now they can direct it with their voice. ChatGPT got an update, so now you can talk to it. And this image I just generated a few days ago was quite cool because I actually collaborated with a team who trained a model using different images to make this image possible. And I think it's so wonderful. It's like many, many people's images were put together. And this is like, when I was generating it, I was like feeling like I was co-creating with the entire world. So as I mentioned before, my background is I worked as a software engineer and I worked as a photographer almost exactly the same amount of time, 10 years and 10 years. So I feel like when generative AI kind of entered our world last year, it just connected the dots, and tech and art in me, it was just so perfect for me. But before AI, as I mentioned to you, I was struggling with mental health, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I started creating these photographs of the way that the world made me feel. I would use myself as a model. And you know, if you put on a dress and a wig, you can make yourself look like pretty much anyone. Like, I would make myself look like a princess, and then I would photograph myself by the wall, and I would take a photo of New York, where I live, and I would use Photoshop to create a world around myself. And as you can see, my life was it felt heavy, so I would put this like gigantic objects, and like I felt the weight of the entire world. Well, this was photographed during the pandemic. I felt isolated and really heavy. And then there were better times when I felt a bit more hopeful. I would take some jars and I would photograph myself with those. Or I would go to Burning Man and photograph myself there. I just tried to express myself, and I think it made me feel a little bit better to be able to put something that was deeply personal into an image, and my friends could relate to it in some way. So this was before AI. Each of those images usually took me several days to make. And then, last year, I discovered generative AI. All of these images were made by writing a text prompt, and I tried to recreate the world around me. I live next to Central Park in New York, so as you can see, I tried to visualize a post-apocalyptic Central Park because it was right after the pandemic, and I just tried to write a story about isolation and myself in this world. I couldn't really put myself into the scene because AI was still so basic that I just put some female character that I could relate to. And then if you really want to read it, there is a QR code, and you can just read this comic book that I made. I started creating art using AI. So the first image I created in 2020 when the pandemic started, and I felt like I was so confused what was going on. I thought it was just going to be 2 weeks of the pandemic, and I made a lot of plans to go to Los Angeles. And as you know, we were stuck in it for like more than 2 years. So I created this image, and then yesterday I created this image, which is basically you can take your art piece or your photograph or whatever you have, and you can direct AI to create art in a similar style. And this is how it's done. You just write a prompt, a portrait of a girl with upper part of her head covered in clouds, and then use style reference, use your art piece if you have. Or if you don't have to, because you can just, there are many templates that you can use for that. Also, I learned how to train AI on my own photos. This is me, and you can put like a bunch of selfies with your phone, and then create these beautiful images that will look like you, and create art in this way. What I noticed that when I was taking photos and doing it in Photoshop, my process hasn't changed much. I still try to tell the same stories. It was just a bit faster. So, let's make a world together. I think what is the most common thing between each of us is that each of you and I have a story to tell, some kind of story. It doesn't even have to be something heavy. Maybe you had a coffee today, or a conversation, or you met me for the first time. and you would like to visualize it and to share this idea with someone. In the past, you would have to spend years to learn how to draw or to pick up a camera. Now you can just describe it and create something like this. You can write a prompt, sailing ship inside a bottle during a storm, photo, neon, cyberpunk, fantasy. I really like cyberpunk. And here it goes. You have those images. And what to do with them? Well, you can show them to your friends and say, OK, this is my idea. Or if you are a painter, you can get inspired and do something else. It's up to you. I think the best thing about AI for me personally as an artist and a former scientist is that now we can see ideas of people that we couldn't see before. It used to be a very exclusive thing. You had to know how to draw, or how to take a photo, or how to create a movie. And you had to study, and you had to have opportunities and health. Right now, it's accessible. Any of you can create some kind of story or a movie, and I would love to see it. The control and accuracy, AI still has a way to go, but it's getting better every day. So these images were created with an image generator just by writing text. They are unique. No one else created those before. And they are collaborative because those wouldn't be possible without images it was trained on. And I do want to see your ideas. This is my life partner, Anton, and he's sitting right there. And I trained a model on his face. And I made a gift for his birthday because he's been there for me for 22 years. And he's my knight in white armor, so I did it. And he's very shy, so he would never dress like this or take a photo like this. I do want to see your ideas. I am serious, I'm real. I like making friends, so after this, there are my contact details. Please, if you generate something, share it with me. I think that's the whole point of it. When I was asked to make this talk, and the name of it was Creating Worlds with AI, my first thought was, actually, the world I'm most proud of is the community that was created thanks to AI. Because I was quite isolated, as I mentioned before. It's actually quite a miracle that I do this public speaking. I've never done this before. But AI is like a superpower. It allowed me to create this community on X, former Twitter, that is 91,000 people, all thanks to AI, because people are creating together and sharing with each other. And it's all kinds of people. It's not just professional artists. It's doctors and teachers and moms and scientists. And I think you found me through this. Also, thanks to AI, now I have a wonderful job that I love. And yeah, please stay connected. And those are all my handles. Write me DMs, add me, and I would love to be your friend. I would like to show you something special. I hope it will work. AI has a lot of ways to express yourself, and some of them are AI videos, AI music. You can write text, and you can create a movie. You can write text, and you can create a soundtrack. So before the pandemic, I used to go to a festival called Burning Man in the US. And of course, I couldn't go again. And I created this film only writing text. All of it is just text, and the music is also created with text. So all of it, just like the images you saw, the only difference is it's a video and it is music. And And one more video. So you know how almost all of you tried ChatGPT? When I first tried ChatGPT, I actually wanted to know if it can actually feel, and of course it doesn't. But it was so believable. I thought it was such a smart robot that I actually asked it to describe itself. And it did, because it would do anything you ask it to do if you're really convincing. So it described how it thinks of itself. And of course, it's just a language model, but it's fun. And then I used the description as a prompt to make a video. And I also used exactly the same text to generate music. So, of course, it doesn't feel and it doesn't think, and it is just a language model, but look how beautiful it turned out. This is how ChatGPT thinks and feels if it could.